It was a cold Wednesday night on January 19, 2022, in the quiet village of Vera, just south of St. Petersburg in Russia's Leningrad region. The air was crisp, temperatures hovering around -5 degrees Celsius, but the chill didn't deter 41-year-old Anna, a lawyer from St. Petersburg. She was determined to partake in an annual tradition that held deep spiritual meaning for her. Anna was preparing to participate in the Epiphany ritual, a Christian tradition where believers immerse themselves in icy waters believed to possess special healing properties. She had observed this ritual every year for several years, and despite the inherent risks, she felt comfortable and confident. This time, she chose the Oradej River for her plunge, a river known for its deceptively strong currents that claimed lives annually, even during the milder summer months. Dressed in a black one-piece swimsuit, Anna stood by a rectangular hole cut into the thick ice covering the river. She crossed herself, a gesture of faith and readiness. But unlike other designated spots along the river, this location lacked essential safety measures. There were no proper lights, no handrails, and no safety ropes. Earlier that day, a safer ice hole had been prepared nearby in Vera village, complete with rescuers on standby, an ambulance, and wooden steps to aid participants entering and exiting the frigid water. Unaware or undeterred by the absence of safety features, Anna proceeded with her chosen spot. The moment she submerged herself into the icy depths, the river's powerful current seized her. In an instant, she was swept away beneath the thick ice, disappearing into the dark, unforgiving waters. On the surface, panic set in. Her children cried out in terror as her husband realized the gravity of the situation. Desperate to save her, he dove into the river, but the murky water and muddy bottom made the search nearly impossible. Anna was nowhere to be found. Emergency services were called immediately. A rescue team, including divers, rushed to the scene and scoured the river, but their efforts were in vain. Days passed with no sign of Anna. Despite repeated searches, hope began to wane. 11 agonizing days later, volunteers using underwater drones made a grim discovery. A body was found about a kilometer downstream from where Anna had entered the water. Her husband was brought in to identify her, confirming the family's worst fears. It was Anna. The tragedy was a devastating blow to her family and the community. It left 2 children without their mother and raised serious questions about safety practices during such rituals. Russian officials urged the public to avoid repeating Anna's actions. Alexander Zuyev, head of the Emergency Rescue Service, openly criticized the decision to create an ice hole at a dangerous point in the river and condemned the lack of safety measures that led to Anna's horrifying final affliction.
On the serene evening of July 26, 2024, under the clear blue skies above Lake Michigan, a festive birthday celebration set sail from Chicago's 31st Street Harbor. Among the attendees was 40-year-old Lorenzo Tobin, a deckhand from Illinois, known for his hardworking spirit and generous heart. The party unfolded aboard a 25-ton double-decker yacht, a vessel often used for such lively occasions. As the yacht ventured further into the lake, some passengers began to sense that something was amiss. The boat, which had previously been stable, started to tilt dangerously to one side. Despite these alarming signs, the revelry continued. By 7:30 p.m., the combination of high speed, increasing tilt, and choppy waters proved catastrophic. Without warning, the yacht capsized, violently throwing all 16 passengers into the cold, dark waters of Lake Michigan. The incident occurred shockingly close to shore, within a mere 20 meters of land. Onlookers from the beach shouted and attempted to assist as the scene unfolded. Nearby jet skiers noticed the chaos and rushed to help. Amid the pandemonium, most passengers scrambled for safety, grabbing life jackets and swimming toward rescuers. Lorenzo, however, chose to remain in the water, prioritizing the safety of others. He stayed behind to help his fellow passengers secure life jackets, putting their well-being above his own. Amid the chaos and urgency, Lorenzo was unable to secure a life jacket for himself. Once everyone else was accounted for, the heartbreaking realization set in. Lorenzo was missing. Rescue teams from the U.S. Coast Guard and Chicago Police Marine units launched an extensive search operation, employing dive teams, rescue boats, and helicopters. For 2 long days, they scoured the waters for any sign of Lorenzo. His family, desperate for answers, clung to hope despite the agonizing wait. Tragically, on the 3rd day, Lorenzo's cousin, Charles, who had flown in from Arcadia to assist with the search, made a devastating discovery. Standing near the sunken yacht, Charles spotted something floating close to shore. To his utter heartbreak, it was Lorenzo's lifeless body just beneath the surface.
What is this, bro? What is this, man? Oh my fucking God, man! Oh my God, man, that gotta be Snoop, bro. Fuck, man. That's Snoop, dog. I gotta go get him, bro.
How could they not find him so close? Charles questioned. His grief was palpable as he waded into the water to confirm the devastating truth. The discovery raised painful questions about the rescue operation. Bodies in water often remain submerged before surfacing, but with the rescue efforts so close to the location, many wondered why Lorenzo's body had gone unnoticed in the critical early hours. Could something more have been done? Lorenzo's death left a void in the hearts of his family, friends, and community. Known as a talented and selfless man, he died a hero, giving his life to ensure the safety of others. Though his loss was profoundly tragic, Lorenzo's final moments were a testament to his character, a man of immense courage and compassion. On Sunday, July 23, 2006, a seemingly ordinary summer day in Durham, England, took a devastating turn. Riverside Park, a popular destination for locals and tourists, was hosting a unique attraction that weekend. Dreamspace, an inflatable sculpture created by British artist Maurice Aegis. Known for his abstract art installations, Aegis had toured Dreamspace across Europe, drawing thousands of visitors eager to explore the mesmerizing, labyrinth-like structure. Dreamspace was a massive, rubberized inflatable, similar to a bouncy castle, but designed as an abstract maze visitors could walk through. It measured an impressive 112 yards in length, towering over the park and capturing the curiosity of all who saw it. On that sunny morning, approximately 500 people arrived at Riverside Park to experience this unusual attraction. As the day progressed, the light breeze turned into stronger gusts of wind. Recognizing the potential danger, Maurice Aegis instructed his staff to reinforce the structure with additional ropes and moorings. Satisfied that precautions had been taken, Aegis stepped away for a tea break. However, what followed was a sequence of events no one could have anticipated. Around 3:30 p.m., as families and visitors roamed the inflatable maze, the wind picked up considerably. The ropes securing Dreamspace to the ground began to strain under the pressure. Suddenly, one by one, the pegs holding it in place snapped free. The structure started lifting off the ground, and chaos erupted. Visitors inside Dreamspace scrambled to escape as it rose into the air. Staff and bystanders rushed to hold it down, with Maurice himself joining the effort. Despite around 40 people desperately clinging to the sculpture, the powerful gusts of wind proved too strong. Dreamspace broke free entirely, soaring nearly 30 feet into the sky. Witnesses watched in disbelief as the enormous inflatable drifted uncontrollably, hitting a nearby CCTV pole before tumbling into a car park. The dramatic flight came to an abrupt end when the structure crashed back to the ground, leaving a scene of utter devastation. Emergency responders arrived quickly to provide aid, but the injuries sustained by those inside were severe. 13 people were injured, many suffering broken ribs, punctured lungs, and internal bleeding. Tragically, 2 women, 39-year-old Claire Firmedge and 68-year-old Elizabeth Collings, were crushed during the fall. Despite being rushed to the hospital, both succumbed to their injuries later that evening. In the aftermath, staff revealed that they had observed the structure lifting off the ground slightly the day before and even earlier that Sunday. These incidents were reported to Maurice Aegis, who acknowledged the concerns but took no further action to secure the installation. In 2009, Maurice Aegis faced trial for negligent manslaughter. The court deliberated over whether he had adequately ensured the safety of Dreamspace and its visitors. After a 4-week trial, Aegis was found not guilty of manslaughter, but was fined £10,000 for breaching health and safety regulations. The ordeal deeply affected him, and he publicly vowed never to create another inflatable structure. Fate, however, had other plans, as Maurice Aegis passed away just 2 months after the trial concluded. This tragic event left a lasting impact on the community and served as a stark reminder of the importance of rigorous safety measures in public installations. Dreamspace, once a symbol of creativity and wonder, became an enduring cautionary tale.
On Friday, September 8, 2017, 19-year-old Kanika Jenkins attended a party at the Crowne Plaza Chicago O'Hare Hotel in Rosemont, Illinois. The gathering began late Thursday night around 11:30 p.m. in room 926. As the night unfolded, Kanika consumed cognac but was not reported to have taken any. Friends noted that she seemed unsteady and wasn't acting like her usual self. She danced a little, but later appeared sad and sat down.
You know, where the slide go up with the gang, and it go up,
Oh, you want to do something?
irritated.
In the early hours of the morning, Kanika was seen walking around the hotel with her friends. At some point, they parted ways, and this was the last time they saw her. When her friends couldn't find her later, they became worried and contacted her mother, Teresa Martin, who arrived at the hotel around 5:30 a.m. to help search for her daughter. Consumed by concern, Teresa knocked on numerous hotel room doors from top to bottom until a hotel employee called 911 to complain about the disturbance. Throughout the night and into the next day, Kanika remained missing, seemingly having vanished without a trace. Desperate for answers, her mother requested access to the hotel's surveillance footage, but management declined until a missing person report was filed with the police. After filing the report, authorities and hotel staff began reviewing the CCTV footage. Initial checks of the entrances and exits showed no sign of Kanika leaving the hotel. Hours of surveillance video were painstakingly examined until Kanika was finally spotted. She appeared to be intoxicated, staggering through the hotel's hallways. Investigators continued to track her movements on the footage, trying to determine where she had gone. Eventually, they discovered footage of Kanika entering the hotel's kitchen area. In the video, she is seen swaying as she walks into the kitchen and then turns left toward the freezer section. Acting on this information, police rushed to the kitchen and searched the freezer. Tragically, they found Kanika's body inside the walk-in freezer. The freezer was operational and located within a walk-in cooler, requiring her to go through 2 doors to reach it. Reports indicated that the lights were off in both areas when she entered, leaving her in complete darkness. The freezer doors were not locked, and there was a release button inside, raising questions about why she didn't exit. Her death was ruled as accidental, with hypothermia cited as the cause. The Rosemont Police Department issued a statement saying that no foul play was suspected. However, Kanika's family, along with many others online, have created numerous other theories about how she met her terrifying final affliction.
On January 1st, 2024, as South Korea welcomed the new year, an eerie and chilling event unfolded in the cold, icy streets of Gangwon Province, specifically in the Pyeongchang region. While many residents were recovering from their New Year's celebrations, the biting cold and fierce winds provided a typical wintry backdrop. However, that night, something far more sinister was brewing. Around 8:30 p.m., the tranquil streets began to change. Residents noticed an unusual, dense fog rolling into the area. Unlike the natural mist that occasionally blankets the region, this fog behaved unnervingly, racing through the streets and blanketing buildings and vehicles alike. Within minutes, the phenomenon completely engulfed part of the town, leaving residents perplexed and alarmed. Dashcam footage and videos captured the scene, evoking comparisons to horror films like Silent Hill. The fog slithered low along the ground, infiltrating every crevice, wrapping the area in an almost otherworldly shroud. Drivers attempting to navigate through the fog reported their engines sputtering and stalling, as though the vehicles themselves were suffocating. The fog had a pungent chemical odor that hinted at something far more dangerous than mere weather phenomena. It didn't take long for authorities to realize the source of the mysterious fog. It was not natural mist, but rather liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, leaking from a nearby petrol station. Used widely in South Korea due to its affordability, consists of propane and butane, gases heavier than air. This composition caused the gas to hug the ground, creating the creeping fog seen in the footage. By 8:40 p.m., the area surrounding the petrol station was entirely blanketed in the dense gas. The situation grew increasingly dire as residents and drivers attempted to flee or investigate. The tension reached a breaking point at 8:51 p.m. when the inevitable happened. The gas ignited. The resulting explosion was catastrophic, sending flames tearing through the streets, igniting buildings and vehicles, and throwing the area into chaos. The terrifying moment, captured on dash cams, showed the sudden eruption of fire that lit up the night. As quickly as the fog had appeared, it dissipated in the blaze, leaving behind a haunting scene of devastation. Firefighters from Gangwon province arrived swiftly and battled the fires for 3 hours before bringing them under control. Their efforts prevented further loss of life, but the destruction was significant. 14 buildings were heavily damaged, and at least 25 residents were evacuated from their homes. Miraculously, no fatalities were reported, but 2 individuals suffered severe burns and were hospitalized. The aftermath left the town shaken, with charred debris and burnt vehicles marking the path of the destruction. Authorities from the Gangwon Province Fire Headquarters launched an investigation, but the exact cause of the gas leak remained undetermined at the time of reporting. The haunting footage of the creeping gas and subsequent explosion spread widely, leaving viewers stunned. It served as a stark reminder of the dangers posed by hazardous materials and the potential for devastation when such substances are mishandled or escape containment. While no lives were lost, the incident left an indelible mark on the community, forever linking New Year's Day 2024 with a moment of sheer terror.
Skydiving, the ultimate adrenaline rush, where adventure seekers leap from airplanes, trusting their lives to a parachute and the expertise of their instructors. For 18-year-old Tyler Turner, this thrill was something he eagerly anticipated. Despite a mild case of cerebral palsy, Tyler was determined not to let anything hold him back. On the sunny morning of August 6, 2016, Tyler arrived at the Lodi Parachute Center in California for his first tandem skydive. Known for his fun-loving and adventurous spirit, Tyler was a musician cherished by friends and family alike. He was excited to embrace this new challenge, accompanied by his mother, who supported his daring aspirations. The Lodi Parachute Center, established in 1964, boasted of being one of the largest and oldest drop zones in the United States. However, beneath its reputation lay a history of safety violations and accidents that few newcomers were aware of. That day, Tyler was paired with Yong Kwan, a 25-year-old instructor with approximately 700 jumps of experience. Before suiting up, Yong turned on his camera to capture the excitement.
Welcome to Parachute Center.
What
is your name?
My name is Tyler Turner.
What are you doing here?
I am going to jump out of a plane.
It's your first time.
First time indeed.
Maybe you're a little bit scary?
A little bit scary. When I get up there, it's going to be like, oh gosh, adrenaline's going to kick in. Just gonna let it happen.
Okay. Who is it?
That's my mom over there.
Hello.
Very loving mom. Done a lot for me in my life. hope that she'll help me with more of my life, because I want to make it.
Okay.
We're gonna make it.
Do you ready?
I am ready.
High five. Let's go to jump.
Let's go jump.
I'm ready.
He looked into the camera, sending love to his mom and jokingly wondering if he'd make it through the jump. His enthusiasm was infectious, and there was no sign of apprehension as they headed toward the plane. As they ascended above the clouds, Tyler and Yong were all smiles. The plane reached the desired altitude, and without hesitation, they leapt into the open sky. The initial freefall went smoothly, the exhilaration captured on video as the world rushed by beneath them. But moments later, disaster struck. When Yong deployed the parachute, it failed to open properly. Tangled lines and a malfunctioning canopy turned their descent into a nightmare. Despite Yong's efforts to rectify the situation, the main parachute did not fully deploy, and the reserve chute was either not activated in time or also malfunctioned. Witnesses on the ground could only watch in horror as the pair plummeted uncontrollably. In a tragic instant, both Tyler Turner and Yong Kwan lost their lives upon impact. The aftermath of the accident sent shockwaves through the community. Tyler's family was devastated by the loss of their beloved son. Investigations into the incident uncovered alarming details about the Lodi Parachute Center's safety practices. The facility had a history of accidents and had been cited multiple times by the Federal Aviation Administration for safety violations, including issues with equipment maintenance and instructor certifications. Tyler's mother filed a lawsuit against the Parachute Center, alleging negligence and wrongful death. She aimed to hold the facility accountable and to prevent other families from experiencing similar tragedies. Tyler Turner's story is a somber reminder of how quickly joy can turn to tragedy when corners are cut. His legacy lives on as a call to action for improved safety standards so that others may pursue their dreams of flight without meeting their terrifying final affliction.
On October 2, 2021, a deeply unsettling story began to unfold in Huntsville, Alabama, when 29-year-old Christina Nance was reported missing. Christina, known as a fun-loving and positive person with a passion for singing, had suddenly stopped showing up to work and responding to messages. Her family had not seen her since September 25th, which was already a week prior. While Christina was known to the police through the crisis intervention team due to her mental health struggles, her disappearance baffled everyone. It was unlike her to vanish without a trace or explanation. After her family reported her missing, police launched a search, combing through her property and car, but no signs of Christina were found. As days passed without any communication from her, concern turned into fear. On the morning of Thursday, October 7th at around 9:15 a.m., the Huntsville Police Department was starting another routine day. An officer walking through the department's parking lot noticed something strange, a pair of shoes sitting outside an unused police van. The officer approached the van and noticed one of its windows was partially rolled down. Thinking someone might be sleeping inside, he unlocked the doors. What he found was horrific. Inside the van was the body of Christina Nance. She had been dead for days, and the hot, humid environment inside the vehicle had accelerated decomposition. The gruesome scene left even seasoned officers stunned, and her family was devastated, struggling to comprehend how this could have happened. The police were equally perplexed. How did Christina end up in the van, and why had nobody noticed her earlier? They immediately turned to the parking lot's CCTV footage to piece together what had transpired. Footage from September 25th revealed Christina wandering around the police parking lot. She could be seen inspecting several vehicles, sitting on their bonnets, and eventually approaching the old inmate transport van. After checking that the van was unlocked, she climbed inside. What Christina didn't know was that this particular van had a self-locking mechanism designed to prevent inmates from escaping. Once the doors were closed, they could not be opened from the inside. The footage confirmed that Christina never left the van. Movement inside the vehicle could be seen for 3 days after she entered, as she desperately tried to push the windows down. By September 28th, all signs of movement ceased. Tragically, it wasn't until October 7th, 12 days after she first entered the van, that her body was discovered. An autopsy revealed that Christina had likely been dead for 8 to 10 days by the time she was found, but her exact cause of death was inconclusive. Her family was heartbroken and angry. They demanded answers, questioning why she climbed into the van in the first place, why she didn't scream for help with the window partially open, and why it took so long for anyone to find her. The family also accused the police of negligence for leaving the van unlocked in the first place. It was police policy to ensure all such vehicles were secured, and their failure to do so turned the van into a death trap. The Huntsville Police Department openly admitted fault for leaving the van unlocked, taking responsibility for the tragic oversight. Christina's family has since pursued legal action against the department, determined to hold them accountable for her preventable death.
In the bustling city of Changsha, China, among its myriad skyscrapers, stands the Huayuan International Center, a towering 62-story edifice completed in 2007. While most visitors frequent the building for its shopping malls and luxury hotels, one man saw it as the ultimate stage for his daring pursuits. Wu Yongning, a 26-year-old thrill-seeker, had gained fame as China's first rooftopper. Often referred to as the Chinese Superman, he was renowned for his breathtaking stunts performed at dizzying heights. His videos showcased him hanging off buildings and executing extreme parkour moves over sheer drops of 1,000 meters or more. To his millions of online followers, it seemed there was no limit to his audacity. With plans to propose to his girlfriend the following day, Wu set out to maximize his earnings from his viral content. That morning, he arrived at the Huayuan International Center, determined to film his most daring video yet. He ascended 42 flights of stairs inside the building and then, without any safety equipment, climbed an additional 20 floors on the building's exterior. Finally reaching the rooftop, he set up his camera to record his final heart-stopping stunt. Positioning himself on the edge, Wu began performing pull-ups with the sprawling cityscape as his backdrop. He completed several repetitions, but soon it became apparent that he was struggling. The fatigue from his exhausting climb and the physical strain of the pull-ups started to take their toll. Desperately trying to lift himself back onto the ledge, he grappled for a hold. In a harrowing moment captured on his own camera, Wu lost his grip and fell approximately 47 meters, about 147 feet, onto a terrace below. The impact was fatal. His body was discovered later by a window cleaner who was working on the building. For nearly a month, Wu's social media accounts went silent, leaving his fans and followers in a state of puzzled concern. It wasn't until his girlfriend publicly announced his death that the tragic truth emerged. The incident sparked widespread discussion and criticism. Many questioned why he undertook such a perilous feat alone and without any safety precautions. However, others acknowledged that even with additional people present, the outcome might not have been different. In response to the tragedy, Chinese authorities issued warnings against the dangerous practice of rooftopping. They called for increased regulation and supervision of live streaming platforms to discourage individuals from attempting such hazardous activities without proper safety measures. It just goes to show the extreme risks people are willing to take for fame and the dire consequences that can follow. In this case, Wu Yongning's untimely, final affliction.
On Monday, March 15, 2021, the city of Pembroke Pines, Florida, awoke to a day of clear skies and gentle breezes, a seemingly typical start to the week. However, by the afternoon, a tragic and unforeseen disaster would leave a permanent mark on the community. That day, a single mother, Megan Bishop, and her 4-year-old son, Taylor, were driving their SUV along Southwest 72nd Avenue and 12th Street. It was a familiar route for the pair, close to their home and near North Perry Airport, a hub for private and charter flights. The airport's proximity to residential areas meant low-flying planes were a common sight, a normal part of life for locals. But beneath the routine familiarity lay the quiet fear of what could go wrong in such a densely populated area. At approximately 2:30 p.m., a Beechcraft Bonanza single-engine aircraft departed from North Perry Airport. From the start, witnesses reported the plane emitting a rough idle, a sign of engine trouble. Despite this, the two individuals aboard, an instructor pilot and his student, decided to proceed with the flight. Minutes later, their worst fears became reality as the engine began to fail, forcing the pilots into a desperate attempt to return to the airport. Aviation experts often warn pilots against attempting to turn back to the airport during engine failure after takeoff, advising them to instead look for a safe emergency landing site. Tragically, the pilots ignored this guidance, and their plane began to lose control as they neared the airport. In their final moments, the aircraft's altitude and speed dwindled dangerously, leaving them with few options. The ensuing disaster was captured by a nearby Ring doorbell camera. The footage shows the aircraft's heartbreaking attempt to return to the runway, only to fall short by several hundred feet. As it descended, the plane clipped low-hanging power lines, sending sparks flying before colliding directly with Megan's SUV. The impact was devastating. Witnesses described it as resembling a bomb explosion. The plane burst into flames on impact, igniting the spilled aviation fuel and turning the street into an inferno. The fire spread rapidly, engulfing the SUV and leaving behind a scene of chaos and destruction. Debris from the plane was scattered across the neighborhood, and the fuselage burned fiercely, emitting thick black smoke that could be seen for miles. Emergency responders arrived within minutes, but the two individuals aboard the plane had already perished on impact. Megan and her young son were pulled from the wreckage and rushed to the hospital. Megan survived, her injuries eventually healing, but Taylor tragically succumbed to his injuries later that day. The death toll climbed to 3. The accident sent shockwaves through the Pembroke Pines community, leaving residents grappling with the devastating loss. For years, locals had expressed concerns about the risks posed by the airport's proximity to residential areas. This incident reinforced their fears, highlighting the rare yet catastrophic dangers of plane crashes in populated neighborhoods. Megan later shared her heartbreak publicly, mourning the loss of her son while expressing gratitude for the support of her community. Taylor was remembered as a bright and joyful child whose life was cut tragically short.
In 2015, in the bustling city of Jingzhou, China, the Xiang family set out for what was supposed to be a typical day. Liu Huan, her husband, and their 2-year-old son decided to visit the Anliang department store, a popular local destination. The family was looking forward to a simple outing, enjoying each other's company amid the store's many offerings. As they entered the ground floor, their young son became captivated by the moving escalator. Eager and excited, he tugged at his mother's hand, urging her to take him on the mechanical stairs. Smiling at her son's enthusiasm, Liu Huan agreed. She held his hand firmly and stepped onto the escalator, leaving her husband momentarily behind as he attended to something else. Unbeknownst to them, danger was looming just ahead. Moments earlier, 2 store employees had discovered that a floor panel at the top of the escalator was loose. They had nearly fallen through it themselves and had alerted upper management about the hazardous situation. Unfortunately, no immediate action was taken to shut down the escalator or to block off the area. The only directive was to keep an eye out, and no warnings were given to customers. As Liu Huan and her son ascended, staff members at the top began to realize the imminent peril. They shouted warnings, trying to alert her about the faulty panel. But with the noise of the busy store and the escalator's hum, their voices didn't reach her in time. Reaching the top, Liu Huan stepped forward onto the unstable panel. In an instant, the floor gave way beneath her feet. Realizing the catastrophic danger, she acted with lightning speed. Summoning every ounce of strength and motherly instinct, she pushed her son forward into the arms of a nearby employee. Her only thought was to save him. Tragically, Liu Huan couldn't save herself. The malfunctioning escalator pulled her into its machinery. Despite frantic efforts by staff and bystanders, she was unable to escape and lost her life in the accident. The horrifying incident unfolded in mere seconds, leaving witnesses in shock and a family shattered by grief. The aftermath of the tragedy sent ripples throughout China. Public outrage grew as details emerged about the store's failure to address the known hazard. Investigations revealed that maintenance workers had improperly reinstalled the floor panel after routine service, a critical error that led directly to the fatal accident. Questions swirled about why the escalator wasn't shut down immediately and why customers weren't warned. For the Sheng family, the loss was immeasurable. A husband had lost his wife, and a little boy would grow up without his mother, all because of an avoidable lapse in safety. The community mourned with them, sharing in their grief and anger that a young mother met such a horrifying, final affliction. On the morning of January 15, 2023, Yeti Airlines Flight 691 prepared for a routine journey from Kathmandu to Pokhara, Nepal. The flight was scheduled to last about 25 minutes, connecting the nation's capital to a popular tourist destination nestled among the Himalayas. The aircraft, a 15-year-old ATR 72-500 twin-engine turboprop, was considered reliable and well-suited for Nepal's challenging terrain. At the controls were Senior Captain Kamal KC, a veteran pilot with over 21,900 flight hours, and First Officer Anju Kadiwada, who had amassed around 6,400 flight hours. The weather was clear and calm, ideal conditions for flying. As Flight 691 approached the newly opened Pokhara International Airport, everything seemed normal. The landing gear was deployed, and the aircraft was on its final descent. However, air traffic controllers noticed something unusual. The plane's nose was pointed unusually high for a landing approach. Without warning, the aircraft's engines lost thrust. The left wing dipped sharply, and the plane began to roll. A video captured from the ground showed the aircraft banking steeply to the left before plummeting out of sight behind a ridge. Inside the cabin, a passenger named Sonu Jaiswal was live streaming the landing on social media. His video showed passengers relaxed and unaware of any issues moments before chaos erupted. Suddenly, the serene atmosphere turned to horror as the plane jolted violently. Then, the screen filled with flames before the feed cut out. At approximately 11 a.m., the aircraft crashed into a gorge near the Seti Gandaki River, just a short distance from the runway. Rescue teams arrived swiftly, but were met with a devastating scene. The plane was engulfed in flames, broken into pieces, with wreckage strewn across the rugged terrain. Tragically, all 72 people on board perished, making it the deadliest aviation disaster in Nepal's recent history. Investigators immediately began probing the cause of the crash. Preliminary findings revealed that less than 2 minutes before impact, First Officer Kadiwada had called for the flaps to be set to 30 degrees, a standard procedure to increase lift during landing. However, data from the flight recorder indicated that instead of adjusting the flaps, the propeller rotation speeds of both engines decreased significantly, and torque levels dropped to 0. This suggested that one of the pilots might have inadvertently moved the power levers to the feather position, effectively reducing engine thrust to nothing. Further analysis showed that the pilots did not follow standard checklists during the approach. 14 seconds before the crash, control was handed over to Captain KC, the more experienced pilot, but by that point, recovery was impossible. Speculation arose that unfamiliarity with the new airport's approach path or possible confusion in the cockpit may have contributed to the fatal errors. The tragedy sent shockwaves through Nepal. Questions were raised about pilot training, aircraft maintenance, and operational protocols, especially in a country known for its difficult flying conditions due to mountainous terrain. What was certain was the immense loss suffered by the families of the passengers and crew, who all tragically met their final affliction.
The Grand Canyon, one of the world's most breathtaking natural wonders, is an awe-inspiring testament to nature's power and beauty. Carved over millions of years by the Colorado River, this Arizona landmark spans an incredible 277 miles in length, stretches up to 18 miles wide, and plunges over a mile deep. Its sheer size and grandeur draw over 5 million visitors annually from around the globe. Yet, this natural marvel is also fraught with peril, and sadly, some visitors never return home. Despite numerous warning signs advising against crossing safety barriers, a minority of tourists ignore these precautions, leading to tragic outcomes. The Grand Canyon claims approximately 12 lives per year, with causes ranging from dehydration and heat exhaustion to falls from its towering cliffs. Since the 1800s, roughly 900 people have lost their lives there. Some accidents are pure misfortune, while others result from carelessness, like a father who pretended to fall to scare his daughter, only to tragically tumble 400 feet to his death. On June 3, 2017, a 33-year-old man named Cole Wager became part of this tragic narrative, though his story would take an unexpected turn. Cole, a visitor from out of state, set out to explore the Grand Canyon's majestic trails on a hot summer day. Enthralled by the breathtaking views, Cole decided to enjoy a few drinks while taking in the scenery. However, alcohol clouded his judgment, leading him to cross the protective fencing to perch on a precarious rock near the edge. Other hikers watched uneasily as Cole admired the view from his risky position. Despite their warnings to return to safety, Cole, emboldened by his intoxication, ignored their pleas. As he slurred his words, he praised the beauty of the landscape, oblivious to the danger he was in. Then, in a moment that froze the crowd in horror, Cole lost his grip on the rock and tumbled backward off the ledge. Spectators screamed in shock as Cole plummeted 182 feet down the canyon's rocky face. Some urged others not to look at the horrific scene, knowing the fall was likely fatal. Emergency services were called, reporting a probable death at the canyon. A rescue helicopter was dispatched to retrieve his body. Miraculously, when responders located Cole, they discovered he was still alive. Cole's injuries were devastating: severe brain trauma, a broken neck, a shattered back, 2 collapsed lungs, and countless other fractures. His survival was nothing short of a miracle. Airlifted to a hospital, Cole underwent extensive surgeries and a grueling recovery process. Against all odds, he pulled through and lived to recount his incredible tale. 5 years later, Cole's brother shared his story online, showing footage of Cole bearing the physical scars and cognitive challenges left by the fall. Cole's story is both a cautionary tale and an extraordinary account of resilience. The Grand Canyon, while stunning, is an unforgiving environment. It serves as a stark reminder to respect safety guidelines, as one misstep can lead to disaster. Cole's survival is a rare exception, not the rule. For those visiting natural wonders like the Grand Canyon, the message is clear. While the vistas are breathtaking, no photo or thrill is worth risking your life.
On Tuesday, June 12, 2012, Vadim was driving along a Russian highway with his wife Olga and their baby, expecting just another ordinary day. Around 11 a.m., their Audi A4 cruised down the road, the family unaware that their lives were about to take a tragic turn. As they approached the 11th kilometer marker, a convoy of large trucks appeared in the distance, heading toward them. These trucks were heavily loaded with 16 tons of bricks, stacked carelessly and inadequately secured. The bricks were precariously placed, making them a potential hazard to anyone nearby. As the vehicles passed each other, one of the bricks became dislodged from one of the trucks. In a matter of seconds, the brick tumbled off the truck bed and hurtled directly toward Vadim's car. The dashcam in the Audi captured the horrifying moment as the brick smashed through the windshield. There was no time to react. The The brick struck 29-year-old Olga in the head at a speed of about 60 miles per hour. The impact was devastating. Vadim, in shock, glanced over to see his wife gravely injured beside him. Realizing the severity of the situation, he immediately pulled over and called for emergency assistance. The truck driver, unaware of the catastrophe, continued driving down the highway. Meanwhile, Vadim rushed Olga to the emergency room at Azov Hospital. Medical personnel worked tirelessly for 2 hours, attempting to save her life. Despite their efforts, Olga was pronounced dead due to the severity of her injuries. In the days that followed, authorities launched an investigation into the incident. The dashcam footage became a crucial piece of evidence. It showed the brick falling from the poorly secured load and the subsequent impact on the car. The truck driver was eventually identified and arrested, charged under Article 264 for violating traffic regulations resulting in a death due to negligence. A regular family trip down the road destroyed in a matter of seconds. The 29-year-old mother and wife Olga had suddenly met her terrifying final affliction.
On the clear afternoon of Friday, March 10, 2024, a routine flight aboard a Bombardier Challenger 604 private jet from the Ohio State University Airport to Naples Municipal Airport in Florida ended in unthinkable tragedy. The flight, carrying 5 individuals, 2 passengers, 1 crew member, and 2 highly experienced pilots, was expected to be uneventful, but fate had other plans. The pilots, 50-year-old Edward Daniel Murphy and 65-year-old Ian Frederick Hoffman, were seasoned veterans of the skies, boasting over 10,000 and 24,000 flight hours, respectively. Their expertise instilled confidence as they departed at 12:30 p.m. under favorable weather conditions. For hours, the flight went smoothly, but as the aircraft neared its destination, catastrophe struck with devastating swiftness. At approximately 3:08 p.m., as the Challenger 604 approached runway 23 in Naples, the cockpit suddenly erupted in alarm. Within moments, the pilots received 4 critical engine oil pressure warnings, indicating a loss of oil in both engines. Just 2 minutes later, with the jet less than 5 miles from the airport, disaster escalated. One of the pilots radioed the Naples control tower with an emergency call stating, "We've lost both engines. Emergency landing."
Okay, Challenger, Hoppajet 823, lost both engines, emergency. I'm making an emergency landing.
Emergency, clear to land, runway 23. Is that Hoppajet 823?
We're clear to land, but we're not going to make the runway. We've lost both engines.
The situation spiraled rapidly. Struggling to maintain control, Murphy and Hoffman made the split-second decision to attempt an emergency landing on Interstate 75, a busy highway, as it was the closest flat surface available. Traveling at a terrifying 130 miles per hour, the jet plummeted from an altitude of 2,000 feet, careening toward the highway below. At 3:10 p.m., the Challenger made contact with Interstate 75. The impact was brutal. The jet collided with a car, skidded across a grassy shoulder, and slammed into a concrete barrier, scattering debris like shrapnel. Moments later, the wreckage exploded into a massive fireball, sending a plume of thick black smoke into the sky, visible for miles around. Videos captured by bystanders showed the fiery devastation as drivers on the highway scrambled for safety. First responders arrived quickly, facing an inferno fueled by jet fuel. Miraculously, some passengers managed to escape, led to safety through the baggage compartment by the lone cabin attendant. Tragically, both pilots were trapped in the cockpit and could not be rescued. Murphy and Hoffman perished in the flames, their heroic efforts ensuring the survival of others aboard. The crash claimed international headlines and left the aviation community reeling. Experts were baffled by the simultaneous dual-engine failure, an occurrence described as extraordinarily rare. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, launched a meticulous investigation, examining every fragment of the wreckage and analyzing data from the aircraft's black box. Despite their exhaustive efforts, the cause of the dual-engine failure remains undetermined. The Challenger, built in 2004 and recently inspected, showed no prior mechanical faults, leaving investigators and experts questioning how such a tragedy could have unfolded. In the aftermath, the heroism of Murphy and Hoffman was widely praised. Their quick thinking and expertise in an unprecedented emergency situation likely saved lives, preventing the crash from becoming an even greater disaster. Their ultimate sacrifice stands as a testament to their professionalism and dedication. This heartbreaking incident serves as a stark reminder of the inherent risks of aviation and the unpredictability of life itself. In mere seconds, a routine flight turned into a nightmare.
In June 2018, under the bright Turkish sun, the picturesque Butterfly Valley in Fethi was alive with hikers and tourists, drawn to its stunning cliffs and the shimmering Mediterranean Sea below. Among them were Hakan Aysal, a 40-year-old man, and his 32-year-old wife, Semra Aysal. The couple was on holiday, enjoying what seemed to be a blissful getaway. Semra was 7 months pregnant, and the two were eagerly anticipating the arrival of their first child. As they made their way along the trails, other hikers that day couldn't help but notice that something seemed off about the pair. Their behavior was unusual enough that a passerby decided to discreetly record them, concerned that one of them might be in danger near the steep edges. In the footage, Hakan and Semra are seen walking hand in hand, pausing frequently to take in the breathtaking views of the Mediterranean coastline. At one particularly scenic spot, Hakan urged Semra to join him near the very edge of the cliff for a selfie. Semra, who had a known fear of heights and was heavily pregnant, hesitated, but Hakan was insistent, convincing her that the photo would be worth it. They spent an extended period, reportedly 3 hours, at this location, which struck some onlookers as odd. Eventually, the individual recording them moved on and the couple was left alone. It was then that tragedy struck. According to prosecutors, Hakan is accused of pushing Semra off the cliff, sending her plummeting nearly 1,000 feet to her death. The serene landscape bore witness to a horrifying act that ended the lives of Semra and her unborn child. In the immediate aftermath, Hakan flagged down a passerby claiming that his wife had accidentally fallen. Rescue teams were dispatched to the scene, but it was too late. Witnesses noted that Hakan showed a surprising lack of emotion during the search and recovery efforts. He didn't assist in looking for Semra and appeared detached from the unfolding tragedy. Even when Semra's family arrived to collect her body, Hakan remained in the car, offering no comfort or expressions of grief. Authorities grew suspicious of Hakan's behavior and began an investigation. It wasn't long before alarming details surfaced. Shortly before their holiday, Hakan had taken out a life insurance policy on Semra worth 400,000 Turkish lira, approximately $55,000. After her death, he attempted to claim the payout, but the transaction was halted when police intervened. Further investigation revealed that Hakan had also accumulated significant debts and had taken out loans in Semra's name without her knowledge. The evidence suggested a chilling possibility that Hakan had meticulously planned his wife's murder to solve his financial problems. The footage captured by the concerned passerby became a crucial piece of evidence, showing the couple's prolonged stay at the cliff's edge and supporting the prosecution's argument that the act was premeditated. Hakan was arrested and stood trial for the murder of his wife and unborn child. Despite his claims of innocence, the court found the accumulation of evidence overwhelming. In February 2021, he was convicted and sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 30 years. The tragic death of Semra Aysal and her unborn baby sent shockwaves through the community and the nation. It was a stark reminder of how appearances can be deceiving and how calculated intentions can lurk beneath seemingly ordinary moments. Semra's family was left devastated, grappling not only with the loss of a beloved daughter and sister, but also with the betrayal by someone they had trusted, a betrayal that resulted in Semra's horrifying final affliction.
On May 20th, 2023, a devastating and entirely preventable tragedy unfolded in El Salvador. The setting was the renowned Cuscatlán Stadium in San Salvador, the capital city. Known for its large capacity of approximately 53,000, the stadium is home to the Alianza Football Club. That day, fans gathered to watch a quarterfinal match of the 2023 Clausura tournament between Alianza and their fierce rivals, Club Deportivo FAS. The excitement was electric. Tickets were completely sold out, and tensions were high. As the stadium reached full capacity and the match kicked off, no one could have predicted the catastrophe brewing just outside its walls. Before the game began, around 400 to 500 Alianza fans who had been unable to secure tickets started gathering at one of the smaller entrances. Fueled by desperation and frustration, this crowd began banging against the locked barriers, trying to force their way inside for a glimpse of the highly anticipated game. Despite the visible risk, no effective measures were taken to address the escalating situation. Approximately 20 minutes into the match, the barrier gave way under the relentless pressure of the surging fans. Hundreds of people poured into the pitch in an unstoppable wave. Panic erupted among those already inside the stadium. Witnessing the flood of people, many spectators feared for their safety and instinctively tried to escape the stands. What followed was chaos. The sheer number of people overwhelmed the stadium's capacity. Exits were quickly clogged as fans trying to leave collided with the incoming crowd. In the stifling heat, the crush intensified. Oxygen became scarce, and people found themselves trapped with no room to move. The scene on the pitch was harrowing. Footage captured individuals lying on the ground, overheated and in pain, as others frantically fanned them with shirts in a desperate attempt to provide relief. The scale of the tragedy was apparent almost immediately. Ambulances and police were dispatched to the scene, but by the time they arrived, the damage was irreversible. 12 lives were lost in the chaos, with the majority of the victims being children and the elderly, those most vulnerable to the suffocating conditions. Over 500 more were injured and required hospitalization. The nation was left in shock and mourning. In the wake of the disaster, all national-level football matches were suspended, and authorities vowed to hold those responsible accountable. Investigations revealed that the stadium's security measures and access controls were woefully inadequate, essentially setting the stage for the catastrophe. The Salvadoran Football Federation directed much of the blame toward Alianza's management and fans. As a result, the team was fined $30,000 and required to play their home matches behind closed doors for the next year. Fans were banned from attending games at Cuscatlán Stadium during this time. However, many questioned whether this punishment was sufficient or whether it was misdirected entirely. Footage clearly showed individuals smashing the barricades, directly contributing to the surge that led to the deaths. Should the blame have been focused more on individual accountability? Or was it fair to hold the club and its supporters collectively responsible for the tragedy? It was a disaster that could and should have been avoided had proper precautions been in place.
It's almost unimaginable to consider traveling over land at speeds surpassing 500 miles per hour. Yet for Jessie Combs, this was not just a possibility, it was her reality and passion. Born in South Dakota, Jessie developed a deep love for automobiles early in life. After graduating from college in 1998, she launched a career in the automotive and diesel industry, quickly establishing herself with her remarkable driving abilities. Her exceptional skill behind the wheel led her to set a women's land speed record in 2013. Not content with that achievement, she broke her own record in 2016, earning the nickname, the fastest woman on four wheels. Beyond racing, Jessie co-hosted the popular television show Extreme 4x4 on Spike TV, appearing in over 90 episodes between 2005 and 2009. She excelled in every endeavor she pursued, becoming a respected figure in a male-dominated field. On August 27, 2019, Jessie aimed to shatter the long-standing women's land speed record of 512 miles per hour set by Kitty O'Neill in 1976. In the Alvord Desert of southeastern Oregon, she climbed into the cockpit of the North American Eagle Supersonic Speed Challenger, a 56-foot-long jet-powered car boasting 52,000 horsepower. Despite previous unsuccessful attempts, Jessie was determined to make history that day. Video footage from the attempt captures Jessie accelerating across the vast desert landscape, a massive plume of dust trailing behind her as she reached breathtaking speeds. The recording ends abruptly, and moments later, tragedy struck. The car crashed violently, bursting into flames. The impact was so severe that the vehicle was left completely unrecognizable. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but there was nothing they could do. Jessie had lost her life in the pursuit of her dream. An investigation later revealed that the front wheel assembly had collapsed while she was traveling at an astonishing 523 miles per hour. Despite the tragic outcome, it was confirmed that Jessie had indeed broken the existing land speed record. In honor of her achievement and contributions to motorsports, the Guinness World Records posthumously awarded her the title of Fastest Woman on Earth. Jessie's legacy as an accomplished race car driver and a pioneer in her field continues to inspire many, even after her terrifying final affliction. On Sunday, July 24th, 2021, the day started normally for the people and visitors in Himachal Pradesh, a northern state in India nestled in the Himalayas. Known for its mountains, it's a popular spot for trekking, climbing, and skiing. Tourists come from all over to enjoy its scenic towns and stunning views. In the days before that Sunday, the area had been hit by relentless rainfall due to the monsoon season. The heavy rain caused power generators to fail and flash floods to sweep through villages. Landslides are a common problem during this time of year, and the risk was high. Around 1:25 p.m., on a mountain above the Sangla Chitkul Road, the saturated soil began to loosen. Dirt and rocks started to crumble and slide down the slope. Without much warning, large boulders, some as big as cars, broke free and began tumbling down the mountainside. Footage from the scene shows massive boulders crashing down, destroying everything in their path. One of the boulders hit a bridge, destroying it instantly. Truly terrifying stuff. Just below the landslide area, a tourist bus was traveling along the road. It was carrying 11 people, including the driver. As the bus moved along the road, the passengers heard a loud roar from above. They had little time to react. A huge boulder struck the bus, causing catastrophic damage. 8 people were killed instantly, and another person died on the way to the hospital. Among the passengers was Dr. Deepa Sharma, a 34-year-old Ayurvedic doctor who loved nature. Earlier that day, she had shared a photo on social media with the caption, "Life is incomplete without Mother Nature." Emergency services arrived quickly to help the survivors and recover the victims. The news of the tragedy spread across the country, prompting an outpouring of grief. The Prime Minister offered condolences and announced financial compensation for the families of those who died and assistance for the injured. But no amount of money will bring back Dr. Deepa Sharma and the others who lost their lives that day, who tragically met their final affliction.